Everyone talks about hiring, but no one talks about the cost of hiring the wrong person, especially in growth. But just think about this with me for 1 minute. Let's imagine you bring in a new growth leader. That person is going to be interfacing with five different departments in your company: marketing, sales, RevOps, product, and customer experience. What happens when you bring on the wrong person? It's not impacting one department, it's impacting five, and absolutely everybody that's inside of those departments. So a bad growth hire doesn't just slow you down, they set you back months or years because it impacts every lever in your revenue system. So today we're breaking down the hidden costs financially, opportunity wise, brand, and morale to see how you can fix and make sure that you avoid putting the wrong person in the growth seat. I'm Catherine Gutierrez, top 25 CMO and growth strategist, and this is OnlyFans for Growth. Let's get into it. So, most roles can be absorbed when someone isn't a fit. The growth role can't. Here's why. In the growth role, you're hiring somebody who is basically building your foundation. I want you to imagine that you've just purchased a beautiful home and you're coming in and you're going to fix everything in this home to make sure that it is perfect because your goal is to flip this house, right? Think about private equity for a second and you'll understand the analogy. You're going to walk up to the front of the house. You're going to make sure that that curb appeal is beautiful. You're going to make sure every bathroom looks great. Every kitchen inside that home looks great. You got a chef kitchen, you got a front kitchen, whatever the case may be. Everything's going to look amazing, right? Except if you bring in the wrong contractor, all of that isn't going to work. You're going to start seeing cracks in that foundation. You're going to start seeing the wrong appliances put in. They're going to choose the wrong colors. Things aren't going to look the way that you expected them to. And your multi-million dollar investment isn't going to be worth what you thought it was going to be. And that's exactly what happens when you put the wrong person in the growth seat. Here's why. They're not able to diagnose where the revenue is coming from. They're not able to fix or create the right pipeline. They aren't able to identify the places to invest and make sure that they have the right narrative and positioning. And basically, what it means is your entire foundation is at risk of collapsing. When you hire the wrong person in your growth seat, you're not filling a job. You're giving someone the steering wheel to an entire go to market engine. And it's quick for that person to veer off the road if they don't have the right steps. So let's talk about the secret costs that no one refers to and how you can actually get over those five hidden costs of a bad growth hire. Okay. Here's the first one. It's your time. A bad growth hire, as I mentioned, is going to set you back in time. But how much time? Well, at a minimum, we're talking around 3 to 9 months. Worst case scenario, I've seen people in this role for 18 to 24 months. And it might even be that long before you realize the damage of what's being done. So this isn't just, oh, I have the wrong person in the wrong seat, and now I need time to find another person to fill that role. No, this is talking about, oh, shoot, I didn't even realize I have the wrong person for 3 to 9 months. And here's why. The early signs, they don't look that dramatic. You might have a couple missed experiments, some wrong assumptions, some scattered priorities. That's not the problem. The problem is when you get somebody in the seat who can't even do the diagnosing correctly. A lot of people are scared in this role. They're going to uncover things. They're going to show that there are weaknesses in your foundation. Let them. That is your opportunity to make sure that you actually fix things correctly. I've seen it way too often where either the company or the hire isn't willing to hear, hey, there's something broken here and we need to fix it because there's political issues. Guys, that is not something that you want to worry about because meanwhile, if your house is leaking water, you don't want to be over in the back of the house fixing your heating. You want to be focused on, oh, shoot, there's a problem with the plumbing, right? Growth is a compounding function. The longer you wait to intervene, the further you fall behind. And that's what we're trying to prevent. Let's talk about money. The money cost is pretty obvious, but leaders tend to underestimate the real total. So we're not just talking about salary here. We're talking about benefits, tools and technology, the contractors they bring in, the wasted ad spend, the campaigns they launch without strategy because they didn't take the time to audit what you have in the first place. And the biggest expense of all, fixing the mess afterward. Because now you've got to fix a morale mess. Now you've got to fix a persona mess. Now you have to totally change the perception of why leadership brought in the wrong person in the first place. And that's not an easy thing to do. It's not unusual for a single bad growth hire to cost a company, call it 250 to 750K all in. That's expensive. And that's just the hard costs. That's not the morale. That's not the team. That's not the structure. That's not the faith and leadership, right? That's just the quantitative costs. This is something that's expensive, and it's why we're talking about it. And what we want to do is make sure that you're aware of all of those issues right up front so that you can change them. Now let's talk about the opportunity cost. And this is the one that I care about the most. When you've got a bad hire, you're misallocating time and budget. It is missed opportunity. And that matters. See, typically in growth, we want to focus on the top two channels first. What's already moving the needle? Let's go double and triple down in that. And then we can bring on one channel at a time to make sure that we get the right pieces. When we don't do that, when we don't follow that strategy, we just can chase anything in marketing. And that's when you start to see marketers boiling the ocean. And when they boil the ocean, leaders get unhappy and ROI doesn't get realized. You don't test the right channels, you don't make sure you have the right narrative, and you're not getting data that actually matters. That means you're not growing. And so that's the start from an opportunity cost of something really wrong happening. Every month you don't learn, or you don't get out there and iterate and be agile and test, that's a month that your growth curve stays flat or even starts to fall behind. And guys, when we start talking about private equity and venture capital, that's a problem. That's just not something that you want to be involved with. So let's talk about making sure that we get the right people in place, and that's going to be your team cost. Bad growth hires confuse your team. Let's think about the analogy of boiling the ocean. How confusing is that for a team? What do I focus on? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? We get shiny object syndrome very quickly when we get the wrong person. And instead of saying, here's my top 5 priorities for this quarter, this is exactly what I'm going to focus on. Leadership, if it's not on this list, I'm putting it aside. You can go look here in this backlog in my project management system. That's the right way to approach. But instead of doing that, a bad growth hire is going to say, I want to try this and this and this and this. And all of a sudden, the team feels directionless. Sales gets inconsistent pipeline, RevOps gets pulled in 10 different directions, and product hears 5 different use cases that don't match reality. So the real danger here is that when you finally make the change, the team's already exhausted and they're not willing to trust the next growth leader. You've already lost momentum. Now, that brings us to this last one, which is your brand cost, right? So obviously the people are important, the team is important, the opportunity is important, the money is important, all of that. It compounds into growth touching the market. When a bad hire launches poor messaging, low quality content, off target campaigns, random partnerships, it doesn't just exhaust the team, it exhausts the market because it vanishes when they leave. The market sees it, the buyers sees it, your competitors see it, and now you have to rebuild trust, and that's hard. So here's why leaders miss most of the signs. It's because when they go to hire someone, they're looking for buzzwords or activity or dashboards. And what you really need instead of all of that is to make sure that you're looking for someone who can explain your revenue engine. I want to hire someone who can understand my revenue engine better than I can. That's the first test. Do they get it? Can they connect strategy and execution? Do their metrics make sense? Not we need more pipeline, but from where and how and at what stage and where's the lift coming from? Can they articulate what to stop doing? This is the scary part. This takes a real leader, somebody who's willing to stand up and say, this isn't working, we need to stop it. Can they build cross-functional alignment? Can they make sure that because growth is not a solo sport, they get marketing, sales, product, RevOps, everybody on the same team? Can they show repeatable wins, not one-offs? Can they make sure that they are able to show how this channel has improved and this channel has improved before they move into the details? Can they tell you why their past strategies worked? Those are the things that you want to be looking for when you're ready to hire your next growth leader. So here's the takeaway. The cost of a bad growth is not, or growth leader, I should say, is not just financial. It's a cost in lost time, in learning, in confidence, and in momentum. This silently compounds when you make the wrong decision. You can't fix things that are that broken. You need to find someone who can lead with clarity, strategy, alignment, and the right talent. And if you're in the middle of hiring a growth leader and you need help, let me know. Happy to help you think about it, because the only thing more expensive than a bad growth hire is keeping one longer than you should. I'm your fiery redhead, and I'm out.